The first step to waterproofing is to remove all dust and debris, and you can use a broom, vacuum cleaner and scraper to achieve this. It is essential to prime and mask up the areas to be waterproofed. Apply your first coat evenly of waterproofing over the shower walls. You can use a roller to achieve this, and then use a paintbrush for your final detail work. After waiting 30 minutes for the first coat to dry, apply your second coat in the same manner as your first coat, using a roller and a brush. Make sure it's nice and even and there are no drip marks left in the finished coat, as this will affect the tiling. Using a tape measure and marking pen, measure out your angles to form up a shower recess. Then using a hacksaw or tin snips, you can cut the angle and position them ready to be waterproofed. Use a polyurethane adhesive or sealant to glue the shower angles into position. Place a bead to the underside of the angle and press firmly into position to get a good bond. Recheck all measurements with a tape measure, as once the polyurethane has set, it is very difficult to reposition the angles. Using a tape measure, measure your door opening and cut the angle to fit snugly into the door section. Glue these angles into position using a polyurethane adhesive or sealant and press firmly down to achieve a good bond. Ensure all edges of the angle are sealed to prevent any water escaping from the room and wetting adjoining rooms or carpet. Apply a bead of flexible sealant or reinforcing material to the internal corner or corners of the shower recess. Smooth to a 90-degree corner, this way the tiles will sit flat on the walls. On timber or compressed flooring, you will need to seal all the joints between the flooring sheets, and you will also need to place a fillet around the perimeter of the room. This will stop the membrane from tearing as the floor moves. Use a joint sealant or polyurethane sealant to achieve this. With pipes and plumbing penetrations that come through the floor, these will also need to be sealed. This will stop water from escaping from the room. Using a brush and roller, apply your first coat of waterproofing membrane to the internal corner or corners of the shower recess, as well as the floor of the room. Start in the shower recess by applying the membrane in a nice even coat, ensuring that there are no drips once again, as this will affect the finished look of the tiles. Using a roller, apply a nice even coat around the perimeter of the shower, paying particular attention to the joints and the corners. Make sure there are no air bubbles trapped in the coat, as this will affect the integrity of the shower and will cause the shower to leak. Use a brush to detail the angle and your corners. Always start in the furthest corner and work your way back to the outer edge. This way you won't damage the membrane and you won't get product all over yourself and waste it. Once again, detail brush the areas that are very important, especially around the angles and around all floor penetrations and wastes. If there are any air bubbles forming in the surface, just brush over them again to release the air trapped under the membrane. Using a larger roller, you can now waterproof the entire floor. Once again, take particular attention to the finish as the shower is the most critical area of the whole bathroom. Now using a brush and roller, detail the outside edge of the angle. This will ensure that any water cannot escape either in or out of the shower recess. Using a combination of brush and roller, complete the waterproofing of the remaining parts of the room. Start with the perimeters and work your way around the edge. Pay particular attention once again to the detail of the corners. Starting at the furthest point of the room, work your way back to the door, coating the floor as you go. Always check that there are no air bubbles appearing in the membrane. If they do, apply more waterproofing product to fill them in. Allow the membrane to dry before applying a second coat. The drying time will vary depending on the type of membrane used and the weather conditions. Always check the product data sheet for information on the membrane that you have chosen.